there's ways to come out of it, and nothing is lost. So if you could just sort of tell me where you were before it all went pear-shaped.
I was in Nigeria. I was running 3 really successful businesses, which I kind of started from scratch. One fell on my lap unexpectedly, but fortunately I would call myself a little bit smart, in the sense that I used to run parties for my, well, not parties, I used to go to a lot of parties for, you know, my friends. Back then we were all young mums with kids around 1-2 years old, so we were always at parties, and it was a very little community, but it was a rich community because it was the ExxonMobil oil community, so everyone was either working there directly or connected to it some way or the other. So they used to call it Little London because it was really full of money. And I remember we would go to parties and I would just see the kids, because it was still, even though it was rich, it was still a village. So I remember when I moved there after getting married, we would go there and the kids would just sit down and they're staring and waiting for the food. So I'm going like, so I just started handling the kids and, you know, just do games and things like that. And I think I did it about 2 or 3 times, and then my friends kind of caught on. So anytime I go to the parties, they would just, I've been waiting for you, handle the kids. Yeah. So, and I was doing that, you know, quite a bit, not even thinking about it. And then one day someone showed up at my door. I said, oh, I heard that you do kids parties. How much do you charge? Ooh. I was like, that's a good idea. So I fortunately said, okay, go and come back. I'll do the, you know, the how much it would cost, and then I'll give it to you later. I had no idea how much it charged. I had no idea. But my husband came back from work and I said, I think I can make money from this. And that's how it got started. So she came back in the evening and I didn't know what to charge. I said, okay, it's 1,000 naira, you know, our money. And I said, pay 500 now and pay 500 later. Now in business, you get to know that that's not the kind of business you should do. Collect all your money up front. No, it took a little bit of time for me to learn that, but that's how it started.
So you had a business acumen right from the start.
Right from the start. I've always loved business, right from when I was at school. Unfortunately, I had no career advisor. I'm a career advisor, is one of the things I do. But I had none. So I followed all my friends into science, and I was rubbish. You know, every time the biology teacher comes into class, she kicks me out. I was really that bad. Unfortunately, I had no one to tell me that I was fantastic in business. Yeah. So when I went back to take my, you know, school certificate again, I put in for business courses, and I was just blowing it. And that's when I realized that I love business. Yes. And I went on to study business administration. And I remember the marketing teacher would come into the class and he would ask a question and no one can answer, and then he would say, Tokunbo, help them. And I would just blow it, marketing, business,
just natural.
Business law. It was just natural. And I started to expand. And I remember when I was growing up, I loved watching these movies, Women of Substance, and you know, anything to do with business, and women building up businesses, and I always wanted to do that.
So how long ago was this all happening?
Oh,
because it's not a recent
more than 20 years. More than 20 years ago when I started back then. And then I added event decorations, and I started that small as well. And before I knew it, I was decorating for ExxonMobil, I was decorating for government. I was just the biggest person around.
So you're not new in the events?
No, not at all. I've been doing that for years, and I remember I did one where it went on TV and it was seen all over Nigeria. And the man looked at me, because I remember when I first saw, he was building this really gigantic hotel, and I drove past one day and I said, I'm going to decorate this hotel when it opens. So as I drove past, I think a few weeks later, I'm a very spiritual person, so you will hear me talk about God from time to time. And God just said, stop and go in and ask them. So I went in, and the owner, you know, I got to see him and he said, oh, I'm so sorry, I've got someone coming in from the big city to do it. You know, like I said, ours was like a village. So he couldn't fathom the fact that somebody in the village could do anything. So, but you know how as divine things would happen. That same night, my husband went to the club and he met this man. He said, that's the man building the hotel. They introduced him to my husband. My husband said, oh, my wife spoke to you this afternoon. And I was like, who's your wife? And he said, oh, tell her to come see me. And that's how I became the official decorator of that hotel for over 5 years. Anything they're doing, I was the one decorator. And when I did the first one, the man looked at me and said, my gosh,
Yeah.
I would never have believed it.
Yeah.
And
And you see, it's interesting that he got the validation from your husband and not directly from you, which is not good, really, is it? It's like, you know, why couldn't he take your word for it? Why did he have to? Yeah, yeah.
And then the third business I started was I had a store, a superstore actually. And when I look back through my life, everything's always been that someone would connect something to me in my life. I met one of the biggest retail card businessmen in Nigeria, and he came to see a friend of the family, and I came in that night. And the man was saying, "You want to open a store? This is the owner of this," and he called it One Stop Shop. I don't know if anyone knows it either. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he sat me down for about almost 2 hours and mentored me on what to do.
Yeah.
And when I opened my store, I had people coming from everywhere in the southeast of Nigeria. And I remember I had a girl who had worked for me. She left, and she brought a funeral card to me with my name on it.
Okay.
In another city where they said they bought this beautiful card from a lady's shop. They don't know me, that I don't know them, but it was like someone saying it in Manchester, and I'm here just because they came into my store to buy things. So I've always loved business.
Yeah. Fantastic. So you've always been a business owner type of person. So
Yeah.
Okay, so you're riding high, everything's going good, everything's amazing. So what could possibly go wrong?
That's it. What could possibly go wrong? I can tell you everything. That I can tell you. My business, even though I was running a business, I was making a lot of money. It wasn't set up to fend for the family. It was more like a hobby. My husband was working in the oil company. The kids were in expensive schools. Life was good. So my business was not set up. The foundation was not set up for it to cater for the family's needs. It was just something to keep me busy and me enjoying myself. Now, one thing, I had no money skills, so money was coming in and it was going out. But the fortunate thing is I wasn't buying clothes. I wasn't. I was going to the best events, business events. I was buying books. I had a room full of books. You know those kind of beds you sleep on, and you and your husband is sleeping on one corner because all your books stay there. That was me, and that was all that my money was doing. So even
what sort of books today? What?
Oh, everything. E-Myth.
I read business books.
All business books.
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki,
Richard
Robert Allen.
Yeah,
I was just eating them, Jim Rohn, name it.
Yeah.
I would read it.
Yeah.
And sometimes when my kids ask me that, "Mom, how do you know everything?" Not that I do. Yeah, I tell them that, there's a store. And my husband would never read. And my husband's in Nigeria at the moment. He was telling me last week, I've been bringing out all your books and reading them.
Yes.
Now finally, if I didn't have them, you wouldn't
be able to read them.
But that's where it really was with me. I was always buying stuff, going to seminars and things like that.
So the turning point was?
The turning point was when my husband lost his job.
Okay.
And then my business now had to start fending for the family's lifestyle. Now the kids were in expensive schools. We've got bills to pay. We've got a house to pay. We've got two or three cars at the time.
Oh my gosh.
So of course my business was not ready for that. So all we knew is that at first it was okay, but then eventually it started going downhill, and the business wasn't able to cope with that. And I had nothing in savings, like I said. It was coming in and it was going out. So that's where it kind of started from.
Okay.
But the good thing about it was that was when I learned the best lessons.
Okay.
Yeah,
best
that was
lessons,
things I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah.
Things I wouldn't have kind of seen. I started to see them, and that was the time. Then it was a time also where myself and my husband were able to connect. We weren't fighting. We were just looking for ways to
which is unusual, because usually when there's a money problem between couples, it's always some kind of blame, and then it all escalates and you blame each other. It's unusual that you come together on the same problem.
We did. We really kind of looked for ways to solve the problem. And like I said, I've always been a spiritual person. So every time we had a need, in 7 years, I think I bought only half a bag of rice. In 7 years, once.
Wow.
Every time I would run out of something, I would just run. I could come home and I would meet a bag of rice outside, 50 kg, with a note.
Okay. People helping.
Oh my gosh.
Blessings.
And people didn't even know. A lot of people didn't even know that my husband was facing those crises.
Yeah.
People were just blessing us in every way possible.
Oh my gosh.
And so, that was amazing.
Prayer is powerful.
Oh yeah.
Prayer is powerful. Okay, so what was the worst moment? What was the worst?
The worst moments, there's so many of them, but there's one I can really remember where my husband and kids had to take lanterns to go look for snails in the bush so that we could eat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because we literally had nothing. So, and the kids were hungry, I was hungry, my husband was hungry. So, but we had a big, massive yard.
Okay. The snails.
And the snails were this massive. They were the edible snails, you know,
Yeah,
back in Africa. Those big fat ones.
Yeah.
And so at night they come out. So I think they got a bucket full of it. And you know, I could cook. So what are we talking about?
Okay. So from there you started to come out. How did you get out of that from that point?
With me, like I said, I still had the business. The business hadn't gone. It's just that our expenses exceeded our income.
Yeah.
So, but every time I had a need, that's the funny thing. Every time I had a need, the money always showed up. So either someone would come and say, I've got a party, my kid's party, or someone's got a wedding, and you know, I'll just have that big bulk of money to come in. It probably pay the kids' school fees or one thing or the other. Yeah, but it really kind of came together as we were managing. My husband got this amazing job, which was 10 times what he was earning before. And we kind of moved into the big city and back to the big life. The kids now went back straight into expensive schools, and life almost felt as if it was that. And then suddenly my husband comes home one day and says, I resigned.
Okay. We're going to go through the whole thing again.
What?
We're going to
You did what? And the next thing he said, why don't you go to England? I'm not going to England. And you know, but we'd moved, so I'd not even started any business. I'd shut down the business. It's not like here in England where you can sell it off as a going concern.
Yeah.
No one's going to buy your business over there, so you literally close it down. And that's what happened. So I was there as a housewife thinking, okay, I'm now in the big city of Lagos. I know I can make money. People were excited that I was in town because I was going to do event decoration. But I didn't even have the time to breathe because 6 months after we moved, the kids were in expensive schools once again. Everything fell apart. And he said, go to England. I was like, I'm not going to England. But eventually I did come to England, and it was starting from scratch, from literally with absolutely nothing. I even had to leave the kids with him, and I had a 1-year-old daughter, but fortunately my husband's good at cooking and doing all those things, so I came over and I slept on my sister's couch for 6 months. I landed in the UK with £35. I gave it to the taxi cab man at Heathrow Airport, so I landed in the UK.
That sounds like the Simon Cowell story when he lost everything. He had £5 something, and he just was wishing, hoping that the fiver would pay the cab to get home to his mom.
That's it.
It's like, and then from there So what kind of mindset would you have had to take or change or shift to get back on track and have a solid foundation now, and a different mindset?
I never doubted that I would get back on track.
Okay.
Not for once, because I know that starting over is a science. You just got to go back. They said if they take all the money in the world and divide it equally among everyone, within 5 years it will go back into the hands of the people that had it before, because everyone's going to keep on doing what they do.
Yeah, unless they shift the mindset.
That's it. So the ones that were spending, we keep on spending, and the ones that were accumulating, we keep on accumulating. And so it's the same thing. So with me, I knew that all I needed to do was just kind of find a little bit of balance and then start over.
And find some new skills, perhaps.
Definitely. A lot of new skills.
Yeah.
I can build a website, I can do social media, and that's what's kept women elevating women under the cost, in the sense that I didn't need to spend a lot of money to get a lot of results. So, yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, right. So from there, you're now teaching women, or teaching people about financial education. So that's one of your passions. I know you've done lots of different things. You've written for magazines, you've had awards for different things. So the financial education side of things, because that's really important when it's in business. So what do you teach people, and how do you teach them?
I teach them to have the right mindset around money, and the fact that a lot of people are, sorry to use the word, very careless financially. A lot of us are not. We're not on a journey. We're just living day to day. Any money that comes in, it goes. But we actually should be on a journey with our finances. It's supposed to be doing different assignments. So some of your money is to look after your day-to-day needs. Some of your money is supposed to be for investments. And those who have played the board games that I do, especially with the other one, Millionaire Maker, every time you play the Millionaire Maker, every time you pass, like you go through the month, you've got your wealth account and you decide how much you put in your wealth account every month. So it gets you to be quite conscious of where your money is going. And I remember when I came back to the UK, I really got involved with this amazing group of people in property and finance and all that. And a lot of them were like, you've gone to so many property events, but I knew at that time that property was not my own stepping stone, that it's going to be business. So I didn't get distracted by going to property events, investing in properties. I would go to the events, I would listen, but I never invested in that.
You stayed on track, you knew exactly where you wanted to go.
It's the financial education that can do that. When you're playing the game, it teaches you how to be strategic. It teaches you how to make those right financial decisions. And a lot of people that have played the game have learned who they are. Because I remember I had a guy who came to play, and all he could think about was paycheck. He's a teacher. All he could think about was, so when is the next paycheck coming round? And then I had to stop him and say, what are you doing? He kind of thought about it and said, do you know that's how I am in real life? I live from 30 days to every 30 days, that's all. And the financial education for me was that I was making so much money back then, but I didn't know what to do with it because no one taught me. And my secondary school was one of the most expensive secondary schools with some of the kids from the biggest families, and there was always wealth and things around.
But the one thing, there's wealth around, but they didn't teach about wealth at all, and they never do in schools.
And that's it. And all these girls, I look at them today. Some of them were at my event. Some of those kids that sat in there, oh my gosh, from wealthy families back in the day. But I looked at them in this WhatsApp group, and I look at a lot of them today, and where's the wealth of their parents? Because no one taught the kids how to do it, how to look after it.
Okay, so in terms of one piece of advice that you give people here today, what would be the one thing that they could take away and say, hey, you know what, take this and use it?
I would say learning entrepreneurship, learn how to run a business. Like, you know, I had to go back into the workplace at one time because I knew I was building a business. I needed to take care of my bills, and I knew that I didn't want I didn't want the business to stop because I knew it needed to go somewhere. So what I would say to my clients is what I said to myself is, go earn an income to sort out the bills so you don't have sleepless nights over that, and then you can build your business. Now, I've been doing career consulting, and one of the things that I have learned the most is that the educational system has groomed us to look for a job. Right from primary school. You go to school, you come out of school, you go to secondary school, you come out, and all you're thinking about in your final years of secondary school is, what course am I going to study so that I can get a good job? Now, it doesn't exist anymore. So when people come to see me, I ask them, what was it that you would have loved to do when you were growing up? Or what skill do you have now that somebody's using as a business? I said, because right now I tell people there are 3 ways in which you can make sure that your life has some real things in it. Is while you're running a business, while let's start with while you've got a job, also learn business skills and run a business, even if it's part-time. And then become an authority in your field, the expert, the go-to person. That's my own 3 strategies. It is, while I need a job, let me work in the job, let me run a business, and become the go-to person. And with Women Elevating Women, it's getting to that point, because now I literally have speakers who want to speak on my platform that I'm having to say, I'm sorry. Literally, not because I don't want them to speak, it's just that we don't have space. And that is the visibility that is coming in. So that's my strategy. My strategy is that when you become visible, doors open quicker.
Tell me about it. It's incredible. Since I've started this group, it's like, I've been offered a radio presenting job. Somebody's seen one of my posts and put it in a magazine. Somebody wants to speak at an event. You invited me to do the mastermind, mini mastermind at Women Elevating, and it's all because I started to put myself out there. And the one thing that I wasn't doing with Inspiration Junction was like I was putting everybody else like, yeah, you're amazing. I'll just hide behind here. I'll hide behind my writing, and I'll hide in the corner. And everybody's coming to me and saying, hey, you know what? You're a leader, and I couldn't recognise that they're looking to me to lead. And I'm thinking, where am I going to lead you? But I've got it. I've got
That's
it
how
now.
it works.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just telling Noreen now, just what Sandra did. What did I say? I said, when I saw what that little bit that Sandra did, I rushed up to Noreen and I said, Sandra's going to have a session.
Yeah.
It was just like Pearl had the last session.
Yes.
It was when she did something here that I said, oh my gosh, she's got to do this at Women Elevating Women.
Yeah.
It's had over 1,000+ views on Facebook. That session that Pearl had done at Women Elevating Women. Put yourself out there.
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah, over 1,000+ views.
You're going to get visible. Okay, so just to wrap up now, thank you so much for this interview. It's really like, sharing something that a lot of people wouldn't, they've gone to the bottom sort of thing, and a lot of people wouldn't do that to show their vulnerability and transparency. How can people actually get in touch with you? I've put your number and everything up here, so they can call your number, they can email you, and what is it you can offer them as to say, okay, well, this is what I do?
Well, I've come with my form, anyway, for you to put your name down if you would like to attend my coaching session. I do something similar to a qualifier, because one of the things is, if I can't work with you or you can't work with me, we can't work. So the board game is for you to just come and have a taster session. Now, I normally do it for £30, but I said when I come to Jen's today, I'll do it for 20. So I'm holding one in the next 2 weeks. I'm looking for a different venue for it. But I'm looking at doing one next Thursday. I have space for 6 people. It's £20. You come and you play the game for about 3 hours. It's amazing, and it's absolutely.
Has anybody played the game?
Noreen has played it.
Yeah. What's the name of the game?
It's this one. We're going to be using Cashflow, which is Robert Kiyosaki's game.
Yeah.
So if you've ever heard of Cashflow, it's a great word. The Cashflow game. The Cashflow quadrant. But I use the board game. I've been facilitating the board game for probably about 6-7 years for some of the really big clubs before I started mine. And I use it for financial education. A lot of people use it for investments in property. But the best way you can get my coaching, the best way is for you to play the game. Me talking to you, because you're not going to tell me stuff. But when I watch you, I can see
the habits.
I can see your habits,
and
I can see your thinking.
Yeah.
So it's £20. I've got my board there, so you can just see me at the end and put your name down. And once I can get that amazing venue, I have a venue I've been using, but it doesn't make sense. So yes, so £20.
Okay, so that's a valuable gift to you guys.
So 6 people.
For just turning up, we're going to get this wonderful woman teaching some financial education. And bless you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.